microphone. Volume check, volume check. Good morning and welcome to a very wet Teesside karting for round number 7 of the NRG Cycles Owner-Driver Sprint Series. Qualifying is underway, slightly delayed due to the weather conditions here today. As you can see, plenty of puddles on the Teesside Autodrome circuit. Bambino qualifying is underway. We're about 2 minutes in. Drivers currently on their second lap, so their first time lap. We follow the number 4 on circuit, that is Oliver Sibbald, followed round by the number 7 of Scarlett Dunn. We have 11 drivers on the Bambino grid today. Bambinos, as always, will run their time trial format, so they will have 7 minutes. When it comes to racing, they line up single file and they will go off at 2 to 3 second intervals, and it is one cumulative lap. So however long they get, however many laps they get in their 7 minutes, and then it's how quickly they do those laps. So it's a time trial basis, so the first one over the line may not be the winner in Bambino, so we have to keep watching all the way down the field for the final carts to come through. Dunn closes in onto the back of Sibbald, trying to get a little bit of a toe in these Bambino karts. The Bambinos run an all-weather tyre, the LeConte all-weather. It's a cut slick, so it's not a full wet in terms of tread. It's got grooves down it, and they run that same tyre in wet or dry in the Comma Bambinos. It looks today like we have a full complement of Commas. Occasionally we have the odd Iami thrown in, especially when we have Felix Smedley on the grid. He is with us today. The entry list suggests that he and the number 19 is running a Comma, so it's a straight fight for all Commas unless we get pictures suggesting different lines there as they go into the South Bank corner at the bottom of the circuit. Dunn going wide, Sibbald cutting tight. So we have a spin there around in hairpin 3. That's Scarlett Dunn spinning, and that's that lap ruined for her. Sibbald looks back to find out where she is, and now it's a couple of metres further back for that spin as Sibbald goes through the puddle there. You'll notice the addition out on circuit at the moment of a number of traffic cones, the couple of puddles on the inside of the corners. Don't want the little Bambinos to go through quite understandably. So we follow the 4 of Sibbald round the inside there, and the large puddle on the inside of hairpin 1 hooks back and looks very, very wet, takes the wide, sensible line round the outside of hairpin 2, goes down the back straight once again into the South Bank corner. We'll try and get some times for qualifying with you very, very shortly. Cut now to follow. So that is the view of the start-finish line. You can see there on the inside some cones as we follow the number 8 red cart, bright orange helmet. That is Harrison Dunn, competing for his first time here today in competitive motorsport. He's been round Teesside a few times in practice. This will be the first time that he goes in a competitive situation, and not the ideal conditions for him to make his debut in this Bambino class. He goes down the back straight. We had yellow flags out at the bottom end of the circuit, at bottom of hairpin 3. Looks like there's a driver stranded and climbing out of the car on the way out of hairpin 3. That's a green helmet, and he's gone over to the inside of the circuit to the marshal's post. We'll see if we can pick it up on the way round, but green helmet. We know that I think Edward Haynes wears an orange helmet. We'll see whether that car has the number 44 attached to it if it comes into shot shortly. We follow Harrison Dunn round as he completes another lap of this Teesside Autodrome circuit. Not got timing up on the screen. I'm just going to see if I can bring it to you now. Smedley in the number 19 is the fastest. That is the 44 of Edward Haynes, so it's not him that's spun out at the bottom corner. Could it be the 22 of Thomas Potter, another driver that wears has green on his overall? So we have just under 2 minutes remaining of the Bambino qualifying session. Felix Smedley heads the field from number 7, Scarlett Dunn. Oliver Sibold is 3rd, Thomas Potter 4th in the 22. Haynes in 5th in the number 44. Then we have Jacob Richardson, Bobby Pete, Edward Rye. Riley Buckton-Young in the 69 kart. Normally you'll see him in the 9 for our regular viewers, running a different number this time with a new kart underneath him. We have Ollie Carter in the 88 and Harrison Dunn in the 8. Carter goes over the line. No drivers improved recently, suggesting the conditions are getting a little bit worse here at Teesside Autodrome. It is Smedley with a best lap so far of a 1:08. Everybody else's time seems to be slightly down. Sibold, Potter, Richardson, Carter, Dunn all set fastest times for themselves last time. Haynes goes over the line this time. It's a 1:11.6 for him. It still doesn't beat his best of just over a 1:11. He remains 5th so far. So as it stands, as drivers come round with 45 seconds remaining, this will be the last chance for some drivers. We follow the 4 of Sibold. He runs 3rd on track so far. Scarlett Dunn is 2nd in the number 7. 30 seconds remaining of this 8-minute Bambino qualifying session. Sibold out onto the back straight, closing in on the back of the number 44 of Edward Haynes. Closes on the back straight, might catch him as they come round the South Bank corner and into hairpin 3. So we have 8 seconds remaining. A couple of karts over the line. They might get another chance. Coming out of the final corner now is Sibold. He follows Haynes in the 44. They're going to come over the line. Checkered flag is out. Haynes, no improvement. Sibold improves slightly but remains 3rd. So now it's a straight battle between the 19 of Smedley and the 7 of Dunn. Both over the line. Dunn improves but not enough as it stands, and there's only a few more karts to come over the line to bring Bambino qualifying to an end. It looks like it will be Felix Smedley starting at the front of our Bambino grid. From Scarlett Dunn, Oliver Sibold, Thomas Potter, Edward Haynes, Jacob Richardson, Bobby Pete. 3 more karts to come over of Edward Rye, Buckton-Young and Ollie Carter. Let's see if any of those improve to remove Pete from 7th. Doesn't look like it. Rye stays 8th, Buckton-Young in 9th. Carter will come round now, the bottom end of the circuit and over the line, and that will bring an end to our Bambino qualifying session. It does look like it was Thomas Potter, the driver, that stopped out on circuit. That's the final kart over the line of Ollie Carter. That is your 11 kart grid. Smedley, Dunn, Sibold, Potter, Haynes, Richardson, Peaton, Rye, Buckton, Young, Carter and Dunn, as the drivers make their way back into the pit lane. Tricky conditions for our Bambinos, all of them performing superbly on this wet circuit. Next out for their qualifying session will be the junior Pro Kart class. They've got 2 minutes maybe to get themselves sorted and out onto circuit. Drivers in the junior Pro Kart class, they're allowed to run wet tyres, so they'll have full wets on, I'd imagine, in this conditions, unless anybody fancies being incredibly brave. So we'll give it a minute as we watch our 2 karts go down at the back straight. That's the number 4, that's Oliver Sibbald. He will start in 3rd place. 44 in front of him is Edward Haynes. He will start 5th. We're back in a few moments with junior Pro Kart. So our final one of our Bambinos coming into the pit lane. They'll go over the weighbridge. We've got a camera on the weighbridge, which we'll see during the races as out onto the circuit. Very, very little delay, and out onto the circuit is our junior Pro Kart class. That is the number 38, current championship leader, Aaron Alexander, throwing it through the chicanes with his wet tyres on. We'll have to see how this one pans out. It could mix the field up in terms of qualifying position at the very least, although having looked at the weather forecast, it does look like the rain will be with us for the rest of the day. It might stop, but the amount we've had, I really can't see the circuit drying itself out. As we see Alexander not wanting to waste any time in qualifying to get himself out onto the circuit. Crosses the line, he's going to be the first one next time round to set the time. 13 behind him is Callum Booth, 19 Sandro Ballesteros, all 3 regulars here in the Teesside Junior Pro Kart class. 9 karts that come over the line, 10, 11, so they're all getting themselves ready to set times in Junior Pro Kart. Down the back straight, look, Alexander throwing himself out to the left-hand side of the kart, lift the inside away. There he is, jacks that wheel up to aid the rotation of the kart round hairpin 3. He's going to run right round the outside of hairpin 4. That's where the grip is on that corner. Runs round. So as they come over the line for the first time, let's check for your early pace setters. I imagine Alexander will be up there somewhere. 55.616 is your time to beat so far. Alexander from Booth, Ballesteros, Braid comes over. Morris sets a time that puts him second by a couple of thousand. It's Morris in second now. Booth, Braid, Hogarth comes over. He starts in 7th as it stands, but we still have just under 8 minutes remaining as we follow the number 19 of Sandro Ballesteros onto the back straight. 2 more karts to come over, and then we'll be able to give you a full rundown of everybody's first lap's time. It looks like the pace setter so far will be Aaron Alexander in the 38. Morris second, Booth third, Ballesteros 4. We've got Mason Barker, another championship front runner, in 5th. Asher Blythe 6th, Spears in 7th, Kieran Lambert is 8th. We have Thomas Braid in 9th, Brandon Jennings in 10th. Benjamin Haffend and Jacob O'Connor and Ben Hogarth round out 13 karts as Alexander goes over the line and improves even more with a 55.035. That gives him a 3/10 gap, then back to Callum Booth, who in turn has another 3/10 on Jack Morris. They're the only 3 drivers that have managed to get into the 55 so far. Next up the best is Mason Barker in 4th as we watch the 12 of Thomas Braid come round the bottom corner. That's hairpin 2. As I look back, all drivers today wisely have their wetsuit on. Hopefully the wet tyres of the junior pro karts will clear a little bit of the standing water in places, as we have the cadets and 2 strokes out also running groove tyres. That will then be followed by our senior pro kart class. Those drivers only allowed to run slicks, so you see a completely different driving style from those drivers as they throw it in and hope it sticks before the tarmac runs out. Drivers coming over now to set times once again, and Aaron Alexander has dropped it below 55 seconds, a 54.996. Sits him on provisional pole by almost 4 tenths now from Booth. Ballesteros has made a move. He went up to 5th, but is soon moved back down a place as Asher Blythe moves up 2. So Blythe in 4th. Lambert with a faster lap as well, 5th. Ballesteros now in 6th. Mason Barker 7th. If it stays as it is, that's going to be a serious dent to his championship challenge, as he's within 15 points of current leader Aaron Alexander. Watch the number 24 of Jack Morris scything through the field in the wet. Looks like he's really enjoying the conditions. Some drivers do, a lot don't with the wet conditions as he comes through. Following the number 12 of Thomas Braid. Right behind him now, so going to need to try and make his way past, although both those drivers are going to work together, but with wet conditions the tow doesn't particularly help them quite as much. So we've reached the halfway point in the session now. 5 minutes of this 10-minute session remaining. Apologies that we can't bring you the timing down the side of the screen to keep you fully informed. Just had a word from our production team. The timing may well be there on your screen, it's not on mine, so I'm just working on the Alpha Live timing page for the time being. Alexander, another fast lap. He now has half a second in hand. He goes 44.686 for that pole time. That's going to take a lot of beating as he keeps plugging away and trying to put faster and faster laps in to dominate. Morris has now certainly found a way past Thomas Braid to give himself a bit of clear track to attack these wet conditions. You see the spray coming off the rear wheels of that kart as we follow Braid down the back straight. The back straight probably the driest part of the circuit, angled slightly to the inside as they go round the south bank corner at the bottom. Drivers generally taking the middle line away from the bulk of the rubber laid down on the inside. So with 3.5 minutes remaining, Aaron Alexander is the pace setter. 44.686 the time to beat. Next one back from there is Callum Booth. Jack Morris comes over the line, but he's 2 tenths down on his best, remains 3rd. Grid seems to be fairly static now as drivers get themselves into a position to attack the final 3 minutes of this second. Alexander, Booth, Morris and Blythe, the front 3 rows. Lambert, Ballesteros. Mason Barker still down in 7th. Needs to do a little bit of work to move up. The 42 of Jacob O'Connor improves slightly and moves up from 12th to 11. We have 13 karts with us for Junior Pro Kart today. In very testing conditions, as you can see here at the Teesside Autodrome circuit in Middlesbrough. Aaron Alexander, another fast lap. I think every lap so far has been faster than the previous one, as he shows that the wet conditions are not going to faze him in his championship battle. So Aaron Alexander in the number 38, your provisional pole sitter, as drivers clip the puddle on the inside of the chicane. The cone there just to keep drivers from going through that puddle too much. I imagine if each driver brushes those away as we go through the day, we might see those disappearing, although that is a rather large puddle on the inside of hairpin 1. I can't see that one moving unless somebody takes a rather large sweeping brush to that later on in the day. 2 minutes remaining, drivers are going to have potentially 2 more laps to get themselves towards the front of the grid, see if we can make any changes. Major developments here in the commentary box as the timing returns to my screen and I can put the live timing away on the phone and just talk to you now whilst looking at the pictures. So as you can see there, left hand side, minute and a half remaining, it's Aaron Alexander, the pace setter. The 44.672 is going to take something special to beat. Barker moves up to 6th and onto the provisional 3rd row, moving Ballesteros down to 7th. Times coming in for drivers. You'll notice if anything comes up on the screen, if a time goes purple, that will be the fastest time. You'll be able to keep track of that in the race as they come over. Drivers, if their number goes blue, that's a personal best for that driver, and you'll be able to see them whether they move up or down in terms of track position. Green there for Owen Spears. As he moves up to 8th, it moves Thomas Braid down to 9th. So a personal best of a 56.216 for Spears. Personal best for Booth closes within 2/10. The track potentially drying a little bit as drivers close in. So we have exactly 2/10 of a second between Booth and Alexander. There we follow Alexander, 35 seconds remaining. Will potentially, might just get another lap in at the end of this one, but it'll be very, very tight on time. 54, 55 seconds is a lap time as he comes round the bottom corner. Alexander has slowed round that bottom corner. I don't know whether he's waiting for another driver or he's happy. He is. Lets Booth go, and now he's got a target, so we'll see whether he picks the pace up and uses Booth, or whether that is the end of Aaron Alexander's session. Looks to so the timer hits 0, the checkered flag comes out. So unless Booth can come over and beat the time, he will come through his final attempt. No better than what he's previously done. Alexander over the line, and it looks like he'll probably come straight in. So let's have a look to see whether anybody can remove that front row. It's going to need 7 or 8 tenths from Blythe, nearly half a second from Barker. Barker with an improved time, but remains 6th. Morris has come over, Ballesteros over. We still wait for Blythe and Lambert, who are currently 4th and 5th. They are coming round the bottom of the circuit. That's the 24. As we watch, that's Jack Morris. As it stands, he will start 3rd. Lambert over the line, no improvement, 5th. Same for Blythe. So the grid for Junior Pro Kart will see a front row and pole position start for Aaron Alexander with Callum Booth alongside. Jack Morris will start 3rd alongside Asher Blythe. Kieran Lambert, Mason Barker make up the 3rd row. Sandro Ballesteros and Owen Spears, that's 7th and 8th as we watch Ballesteros go right round the outside of hairpin 4. Junior Pro Kart taking very, very well to the wet conditions. Aaron Alexander, the class of the field though in qualifying. Your championship leader will start once again from pole position in Junior Pro Kart. Alongside him will be Callum Booth in the 13. Asher Blythe, the driver who did really well earlier in the season in wet conditions when we had a changeable race day, I believe back in June. We had a wet qualifying and then a mixed first heat as some drivers went out on slicks, some on dries. Fairly sure that we'll not be seeing many slicks out today other than our Senior Pro Kart class later on, whereby wet tyres are not permitted. We see our Junior Pro Kart drivers come over, the checkered flag there on the digiboard in the background signalling that the session is complete. That's the number 14, that's Kieran Lambert. He's followed over by the 42. Just roll back there onto the weighbridge. All drivers have to meet minimum weights in the classes, else they will be penalised. We see the 37 of Ben Hogarth, another driver with a number change, normally runs the number 68 to keep a lookout for the 37 of Hogarth. In the background, in a few moments, you will see that is our cadet drivers making their way out onto the circuit for their qualifying session. We have 23 cadet drivers on the grid today, and it will be very, very busy in the wet conditions for those who watch them come out. First one out and wanting to have a clear track for a few laps is the number 20 of Catherine Potter. She goes down the back straight and she will have all the open track in front of her to set the early times. See if we can get the live time. She's followed round there by the very distinctive yellow and blue livery, number 50 of Lizzie Mentier. Another of our female drivers on a cadet grid that is packed with female talent. Potter comes over She will start the first lap. Mentier, other drivers to look out for, especially in qualifying, is the number 23 of Charlie Wyatt. He's had pole position here at rounds 4, 5 and 6, looking to make it 4 in a row for pole positions, but wet conditions might mix this one up a little bit. Another driver to look out for, your current championship leader, the number 66 of Oliver Buckton, given a little bit of cushion in terms of championship with the announcement during the week that the 99 of Alex Mallard won't see out the rest of the season in cadets. We spoke to Alex earlier in the season, and you might remember he's quite a tall lad for a cadet, and at 11 years old he's now running somewhere around 5 or 6 kilos over the cadet weight limit, struggling to get into his car. So you will see him, and we look forward to welcoming him back next season in our junior Pro Kart class. I know he's been out testing his junior Pro Kart a lot, readying himself for next season to get himself on the junior Pro Kart pace, and I have absolutely no doubt if he carries his cadet form on to how that in junior Pro Kart, we will see him battling it out at the top of the field in junior Pro Kart here at Teesside Autodrome next season. Now, our qualifying session is well underway. Drivers looking to set their times. The 88 there we catch, that's another one of our female drivers, that is Isabella Stanmore-Wilson. We'll have a full rundown of how things sit in a few moments for our cadet drivers. See them coming through the chicane there and just dodging the inside of the the large puddle on the inside. Cones remain in place as the drivers remove the excess water. Current early pace setter though is the number 66 of Oliver Buckton from the 50 of Lizzie Mentier. 8 Bella Franklin is third from the 18 of Maximus Shields. Gracie Mitchell is 5th with Jack Balding in the 25 running 6th. Catherine Potter, Charlie Wyatt 7th and 8th. Isabella Stanmore-Wilson 9th. David Mack in 10th. So we have 19 drivers out on track at the minute. I think we had 23 signed on at the start of the day, so maybe the wet conditions putting 1 or 2 drivers off as we watch Wyatt come over. Improves on the last time he went round as we there's a train of karts going round that bottom corner, all of them engaging race mode very early in qualifying. At the head of that field there is Stanmore-Wilson from Maximus Shields. Jack Balding cuts across the corner and takes a lot more of that puddle than the other 2. Franklin improves, goes second, nudges Mentier down to third. The pack of drivers here all seem to be holding each other up. None of them really